Okay, I'm excited. Yeah. No, I'm really excited about Carney. I think he's handling this situation with the tariff war with Trump extremely well.
I have to say, I'm interested in profits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't care that they didn't pay their share to Canada to help paying for programs?
I'm not exactly sure it works that way. Ultimately, the people at the end pay their taxes like me.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they going to feel any pressure to change? They won't. They're going to be exactly the same as they've always been. Look, we had massive immigration for how many years? They finally started to do a little bit about it because it was just super negative. Like the whole population. I see leftists on Reddit, because I go on Reddit, I see leftists saying they're complaining about the immigration. And a few years ago, they were the staunch defenders of it. So when your own base is turning against you on something, of course they're gonna back up on it. I would expect more of the same from this party, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, but do you have permission to be here?
Usually you don't need a permission
You
to
do
be...
on private property. You can remove that from me, please?
Don't touch my microphone, please.
You can remove it.
I don't know why you're so aggressive.
Because these are my customers, they're trying to eat.
Alexa Lavoie for Rebel News, and I'm currently in Nepean riding the Mark Carney riding. So I came all the way here in Ottawa. First of all, I wanted to take part of the press conference of Mr. Poilievre this morning. Unfortunately, we didn't get a question in. We took the opportunity to speak with the resident about what are their thoughts on Mark Carney, the candidate. So you will see it was really hard to get the opinion of the people, but we managed to get some of the people who wanted to talk with us. So I'll let you check the full report.
President Trump, he's clear about his strategy. His strategy is to break us so that America can own us. We are over as a country, we are over the shock of the betrayal. But we should never forget the lessons. Never forget the lessons, that's right. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. Elbows up, elbows up. And in this trade war, just like in hockey, we will win.
Can I ask you quickly, what do you think about Mark Carney?
I think he's a socialist liberal who is very friendly with China, along with a lot of other Laurentian elites in Canada. Just like Trudeau. He's just another shade of Trudeau, with a different face. That's why he's the current prime minister now, right? He's got the same policies, but just a new face that doesn't have as much negative controversy as our previous prime minister.
I love him.
Yeah? For which reason?
He knows his financial information. He knows how to handle the economy. And I think he's the best to deal with Trump.
We were thinking he would be the one we would be voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For which reason?
Because my wife told me.
That's a kind of good reason, I guess?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's, I've been watching the news a little bit. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's my choice, yes.
For which reason?
Education, experience, international exposure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said that Chandra Arya was removed from his position here to be replaced by Mark Carney?
Yeah, Mark Carney is good. I think my opinion is Mark Carney is good, yeah.
More than Chandra Arya?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not a big fan.
No?
No.
For which reason?
I don't think he stands for what's good for Canada. I think Canadians deserve better, and I think the Liberal Party have proven themselves as ineffective over the course of the last 10 years under Trudeau. So I think it's time for change.
We're not sure what we think yet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You wait for the debate?
Yes.
But so far, do you have any maybe concern about one of the...
No. Let's just say it's a 50-50 chance right now.
Okay.
I'm hoping he loses.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I'm a conservative and I don't like what Trudeau did for the past 12 years.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Rob Ford run.
Rob Ford?
Yeah.
Not going to vote for him.
No?
No.
For which reason?
Don't like him.
Don't like him?
Nope.
I'm not much of a voter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my future-wise, I'll be voting. I don't really have a stand on it right now.
Are you planning to vote for this year?
I haven't voted in 5 years, so no.
No?
No.
And what about you?
Maybe next year, or I need a little bit more detail soon, but maybe this year.
So where we are in Canada right now, and especially in comparison to what we're seeing in the US, there's been a really high rise in far-right politics among people around our age, right? And so when I think of this election type deal, and I think of Mark Carney, I think of Pierre Poilievre, whenever like that, I'm really nervous that we're going to get into that, like, sort of, you know what I mean, the Trumpisms and things like that. So in terms of how I feel about Mark Carney, I mean, I don't think of politicians as celebrities or anything like that. I don't think he's a great, perfect guy for the position, you know what I mean? But there is sort of the loud minority that comes from groups like that, the, you know what I mean, the Holocaust deniers, the abortion people, stuff like that. And everything like that. So it's not really specific to Pierre Poilievre. It's more specific to the party lines and what the parties can sort of pander to.
Yeah, I don't like bankers, but I like Mark.
Okay, I'm excited. Yeah. No, I'm really excited about Carney. I think he's handling this situation with the tariff war with Trump extremely well.
Could you explain in the case of those Brookfield funds, like what was the argument for registering the funds in Bermuda? Is it ethical to do that? And is it something as Prime Minister that you'd have to crack down on? I'm not sure if it's a problem, but is that something that you'd have to crack down on?
I think the important thing, Tom, is that the flow through of the funds go to Canadian entities who then pay the taxes appropriately, as opposed to taxes being paid multiple times.
So Canadian law allows investment companies to invest where they deem appropriate.
Is it ethic though?
Now, whether you want to argue whether it's ethical or morally right to do that, that's another entirely different issue. I think his biggest attraction as a politician is that he understands the international monetary, financial, economic systems. And there's nobody else running these days that has that kind of a background. And I think that's what we need for the person in charge, I guess.
Did you like Justin Trudeau?
Oh, I didn't mind. No, I didn't mind Justin. No, I knew his father.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm a Brookfield shareholder, so I have to say I'm interested in profits, yeah.
So you don't care that they didn't pay their share to Canada to help paying for programs?
I'm not exactly sure it works that way. Ultimately, the people at the end pay their taxes like me.
I wasn't aware of that. I'd have to investigate that to see if that was valid or not.
I think it's very unethical. Yeah, I think it's, it's proven track record of mismanagement of money, even when he was, went over to the UK, mismanaged money over there in the role that he had there. So yeah, I think his track record is not good. And like I said, I think Canadians deserve better.
I read about that this week. I don't know enough to have an informed opinion. Him moving his company to the U.S. wasn't good. There's a lot of things that I don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that avoids taxes should, should have issues with her. And again, not a partisan thing. Like if you're conservative, you're avoiding taxes, it should be investigated. If you're liberal and you're avoiding taxes, that should be investigated. I don't care who you are.
There's no surprise. These people, they advocate taxing the rich and giving to the poor, but they always find a way to make themselves a lot richer when they're in government. It's nice coincidence, isn't it?
Let me turn the table and ask you. I know it sounds like you're coming from a conservative perspective.
No, just asking question if people are
concerned
about
will do the same thing as well, though, right?
He doesn't have any.
He doesn't have any skeletons in his closet?
No, in any money fiscal.
He also doesn't believe in body autonomy.
What do you mean?
Abortion, right?
He actually been clear recently that.
But you go back to some of his old statements. He said this is what I'm saying. We don't know the truth. Everybody has things that they did and they said, but he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need. He could retire. He's doing this, I feel, for the right reasons at the right time. Did he make some mistakes? Of course he did. Is he going to have some challenges? Yes, he will. But that he chose that knowing, you look at Trudeau, he made some mistakes, the blackface and all of those things. That resurfaced. It doesn't mean he's racist. It means he's a young idiot kid.
What do you think about the fact that Mr. Carney was able to get a loan from China, the Bank of China, for Brookfield Asset Management, and we still not know how much share is still hold of this company today?
I don't know. He was saying that he was going to put everything in a blind trust. So anything that he has that it's in a blind trust, he has no control over.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's definitely influence there. I think there's numerous things that he's done over the course of his career that are politically motivated. So yeah, I think there's major concerns with him in power.
Yeah, no, that doesn't mean anything to me.
No?
There's been a lot of things with him that I don't like for sure.
So where we stand right now in Canada, China has a lot of interference among everyone. It's very apparent that it's evident that that China colluded to make Pierre Poilievre the leader of the Conservative Party, or at least they helped in that. It's also very apparent that China's been caught garnering favor for Mark Carney in the States based on, social media campaigns, things like that. The fact that Mark Carney has done some business with China, sure, can be a bit concerning, I agree. That being said, we are still part of a global economy, and we still need to participate with, all countries, America included, even with the craziness that's coming on right now.
Do you think it's a bad idea to hold money from a dictatorship country?
Well, I think we probably owe money to the States, and they're pretty close to a dictatorship to us now.
Well, the answer is that the American influence is 100 times greater than
Any
China.
influence China would ever have.
China's influence is essentially with respect to Canadians who have roots in China or associated with China, and that seems to be where people that they seem to be talking to. But India does the same thing. It's a side issue. I don't see it as a major issue. As far as Brookfield is concerned,
Unless the media make it a major issue.
Yeah, and Brookfield, it's a large investment company, and it looks for its best return that it can get for its assets that people give it to invest. So it doesn't bother me too much.
I don't think you're going to find anyone that hasn't done anything that maybe, that has crossed some lines as far as one way or another. And I'm sure Poilievre has some closets in the skeleton.
Do you think that Mark Carney should just be clean in front of Canadian about the relationship maybe he has with Ghislaine Maxwell, that she's the accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein? We still don't know yet what is happening around that.
No, we don't, and we can't really make a decision until we know what's happening around that.
Do you think you should disclose it?
Yes, I think so. It is a hot topic.
That's hard to say. Who knows if they were just there casually? You could have had no idea. So I don't really have an opinion on that.
But if you disclose, everybody would know then.
Yeah. Were they friends? I don't know.
100%. 100%. If you want to run this country, you got to disclose everything.
Now, whether Mark Carney got that deep into it, if he has compromise on him, I wouldn't be surprised, but we don't have any evidence, right? But I don't put it past these kind of folks to do all kinds of some creepy stuff.
Well, Mr. Carney, Rene Brumer, Montreal Gazette. Last night on Tout le monde en parle, you mentioned that for Justin Trudeau, the economy wasn't a main priority. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that and how you plan to differ?
Yeah. Of course, I'm speaking in relative terms, but I stand by what I said. I'll give you a few examples. Over the course of the last 10 years, the pace of government spending, particularly operational expenditures, rose by an average of 9% a year. 9% year after year after year. That's about twice the rate of growth of the economy. The level of government support for industry and business investment and housing and other factors will be considerable. You'll see when we release our detailed platform, that level of support is much lower than the level of support that we are going to give it.
You have a faith that Mark Carney, with the same cabinet, almost the same cabinet behind him, can actually do something, because the cabinet with Trudeau were kind of responsible of what we are seeing today.
Well, yeah, and I'm not going to say that it's been perfect under the Trudeau government, but the pandemic had a lot to do with it, and also I think a change of leadership. I have no issue with Trudeau. He did the best he could. He made some mistakes, but we all do. I think a change in leadership, even though it's the same team, sometimes in hockey, they say they lost the room, right? It's the same team. Look, I'm going to use the Sens, for example, almost the same team. They bring a new coach. They're making the playoffs for the first time in, since 2017.
Well, I think as long as we got this Liberal Party, and if they win, why are they going to feel any pressure to change? They won't. They're going to be exactly the same as they've always been. We had massive immigration for how many years? They finally started to do a little bit about it because it was just super negative. Like the whole population. I see leftists on Reddit, because I go on Reddit. I see leftists saying they're complaining about the immigration, and a few years ago they were the staunch defenders of it. So when your own base is turning against you on something, of course they're gonna back up on it. I would expect more of the same from this party, honestly.
Do you see the polls right now? Do you have any concern that it might, the Liberals?
No, I'm not worried about the polls. It's all run by CBC anyway, so. Look at it in the States. It showed Kamala Harris was winning and Trump won by a landslide, so I'm not worried. I think Pierre's gonna get in, so hopefully.
After knowing all this, you will still vote for Mark Carney?
That's the way we're leaning right now. Yeah.
Do you have any concern that you might win a huge majority?
I'm more optimistic and I'm more hopeful that I think the Canadians will hopefully. What do you think, buddy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Canadians will hopefully have a better sense in this election. So I think common sense will prevail.
I want to see the debate. I want to see what all parties have to say, and well, facial expressions read a lot. I know you can mask it, but I definitely want to hear what they have to say first.
Sorry, if they're causing an issue, I'm happy to go on.
Do you guys have permission to be on this property?
It's
private property. It's owned by Canadian Tire. And this is my property that I pay for.
Okay, and
I'm asking why you guys are here.
Well, we are doing journalism. We are asking the opinion of the people as other journalists.
Okay, but do you have permission to be here?
Usually you don't need a permission
You
to
do
be...
on private property. You can remove that from me, please?
Don't touch my microphone, please.
You can remove it.
I don't know why you're so aggressive.
Because these are my customers. They're trying to eat.
For me personally, going the other side is a little terrifying for me.
Why? We are talking about the conservative.
Yeah. Again, I'm concerned with the negativity that has crossed the border, and I'm not saying he's a Canadian Trump, but even his slogan, Canada First. It's just, I feel he's borrowing from that, and I feel that a lot of people are following that. And not necessarily a left or right, but that sort of divisiveness. And, I'm just, I'm a liberalist in the ways of thinking, and I find that this, the language in Canada has changed. The negativity towards the LGBTQ community. And it wasn't, I'm an old guy, and it wasn't always like that.
How do you reconcile keeping Bill C-69 with your plans to build infrastructure in Canada? Do you plan to repeal Bill C-69?
We do not plan to repeal Bill C-69, to answer your question directly.
Do you have any concern, maybe to see that Mark Carney say, we will build new energy projects, but it still keep Bill C-69, that is the no more pipeline bill?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that we should be tapping into our own resources instead of importing it from other countries. Canada has so many resources, like Alberta and Saskatchewan has so much oil and gas. We should be using that instead of importing it from Saudi or wherever the hell he gets it from. So,
I do not want to hear what leftists have to say about green energy or infrastructure if they're afraid of nuclear power, which is probably the most efficient green energy available. If they don't want to do that, then they're not serious. It's probably connected to kickbacks they get when they fund green programs, that their buddies are the owners of these companies, and they all kind of cash out with each other when we funnel money into windmills and such, which just take as much plastic and create as much pollution as anything else, right? But yeah, if they were true environmentalists, they'd be advocating for nuclear, but I don't hear that from them.
So the mainstream media, as you know, are so agreeable with Mark Carney, but us at Rebel News, we will show you the truth about Carney's record. So go over the carneyfiles.com if you want to get informed about who is really Mark Carney. So I invite you to go over the carneyfiles.com and chip in if you want to support our journalism. And thanks in advance.